Then we've got Cranford Basin provisions and specific purpose zone flatland recovery. And then the rest of them, with the possible exception of Commercial Richmond Workingmen's Club, because you've got an update on maps, is that right?
That's correct.
So, but the rest of them are just, like, as a blanket, can be just signed off, yeah? Because they are technical amendments.
I think perhaps SPZ Burwood Landfill we should talk to you about, and Commercial Richmond's Working Club. I would talk to staff about anything of those others that are more critical.
Okay. So if there's anything
and the notices of requirement, I'm sorry, there's a part in the covering report on page 14 that talks about the notices of requirement. So maybe three matters. 3 matters.
Okay. All right. So how many more components of the Central City chapter have we got to go?
You have the rest of the general procedures and rules, signs, flatland recovery, natural hazards, open space, and that's it.
Okay.
They're not all as
can we merge flatland recovery with the other flatland recovery?
Yes, because essentially the comment in the report is just simply that it's being combined into the main topic chapter.
Right. So we don't have to worry about that?
No.
Okay.
With your leave, Leanne.
Yes.
I'll just go and speak with the other chapter leaders of those other things, just to see whether or not they feel they really do need to bring something specifically to your attention.
Yep.
And you can carry on in my absence.
All right. Far away. We're on to alcohol.
So in terms of the general rules, I'll just cover off the other subtopics except for signs, and then Scott Blair will come up and answer any questions that you have about the sign provisions. In terms of the other subtopics, most of the comments were minor changes or corrections or clarifications. I think probably the most substantial issue is around the sale of alcohol provisions.
Yep.
So the minister's comments.
And what page on the big page?
Oh, I'm sorry, this is page 130 on the big chart.
30 on the big page.
Recommendation number 177.
Yep.
So in the minister's comments, they repeated their comment on the phase 2 rest of the city in terms of removing the provisions relating to sale of alcohol on the grounds that they repeat provisions that are either in other areas of the plan, so covered by the noise rules and the traffic rules, or repeat provisions that could be included in a local alcohol policy under the Sale and Supply of Alcohol Act.
Okay, and you're recommending against this?
And my recommendation is to retain those provisions.
So, I mean, I think that's absolutely correct. I think there's been a fundamental error in the officials that have given advice to the ministers, and the reason that I say that is that the only things that we can cover in the local alcohol plan, now that we understand that those provisions very well, the only things we can be dealing with are the harmful effects of alcohol. We cannot be looking at the harmful effects on neighbours to premises that sell alcohol after certain hours. So we cannot actually do our job as regulators in this area in terms of amenity and the impact on neighbourhoods, because it isn't all noise. And, you know, I think that anyone who's kind of lived close to a pub in a residential area will know that it's not just noise. And it's the same issues that Ellie raised before, the smoking outside because you can't smoke inside. It's the chattering into the early hours of the morning. It doesn't actually matter, even if you've stopped serving alcohol, you're still on the premises after a particular hours. If you're in a restaurant setting, you're more likely to be finished at a particular time, and that's what this has protected against. And I think it would be absolutely wrong of us to accept the minister's advice, because I don't think they've taken correct advice on the difference between the two provisions, the RMA provision and the sale of liquor provision. Would that be a fair summary?
And that's the legal advice that we've received on the rest of the district plan.
All right, moving along.
So the general rules also covers lighting and glare, aircraft protection, a number of other subtopics, but the changes are quite minor, so I'm happy to answer any questions on any of the recommendations between pages 122 and 131. on any of the subtopics?
No, that'll look fine. That's, I mean, they're
Move on to the signage provisions.
minor. Yep.
Okay, thanks.
And the next one is
Signs.
signs. Right. What page is that on the big sheet?
On the big sheet, the substantive issue is at page 121. I think I can be mercifully brief with this. The Minister, the comments that came back from the ministers were on the whole supportive of the approach taken, with some minor amendments to some of the policies, but the only really substantive change, I would say, is they sought the halving of the allowable size of a sign in the central city business zones and the central city mixed use zones, which we have agreed to, or as officers we think the council should agree to.
Yep.
And that's about it. So it works with a multiplier, where if you had, say, 20 metres of road frontage, your allowable sign would be 10 square metres. The Crown is suggesting that, it would have been 20 square metre sign, but the Crown is suggesting that this be halved so that if you had 20 metres of road frontage, it'd be 10 or building frontage, it'd be 10 square metres of sign. So it's just to bring it down. That would be commensurate with the wider city plan rules that we've promoted.
Right. Okay. Paul?
Just some particular issues around obviously illuminating the signs, and these obviously going to be coming in a lot more. And I suppose what do they call it, or the brightness of those signs. Is there some controls on that at all?
There is. There is in the rules package, as I recall, that has been submitted. However, the ministers have not provided comments on those. So I think that the ability to readdress those at this stage is not there.
Okay.
All right. All good? Yep.
Picked up something. Can I go back one to page 125 just for some clarification on the lighting? Sorry. Just in the discretion there, 13.14.3.3.1 amenity, whether the timing, direction of design of lighting can or unnecessary light spill into the night sky. Has that been taken out?
Only for the central city.
Okay.
So, well, the grounds that the ministers suggested removing them on the grounds that within the central city environment, because there's expected to be quite a high general degree of lighting there, that it would be too onerous to have that as a matter of discretion. With that assessment. So it's retained for the rest of the city, but within the central city, it wouldn't be a matter of discretion.
What do other cities have in place? I mean, do they have any protection of the night sky within the...
There's some district plans where they have a specific reason for it. So, for example, around the St. John's Observatory and the Mackenzie District Plan, they have actually quite strict rules around lighting. But it's generally tied to a particular area where they're trying to achieve
good night vision, I know, but I just... I mean, a really bright central city also affects close into the city, and I really like to watch the sky. Did anyone see Venus and Jupiter last night and the night before? It was amazing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, not all lighting has to have an effect on the sky. Surely we've got technology that we can have really good lighting that always goes down.
Well, I think this standards still apply within the central city, so there's still a maximum light spill, and that includes to the horizontal into the sky. All it's doing is removing this as a matter of discretion, also because it's quite a difficult thing to quantify and to assess. Which is considered for the central city that it's not an appropriate matter of discretion. But there's still standards there in terms of the maximum amount of light that can be generated.
Confident those standards offer some protection of the sky, so it's not actually open slather that you can have.
Yeah, the rules are still there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Next one. Which one?
Signage?
Who's next?
Signs of